When customers believe in you, they take actions that drive your results. If you think about it, the actions customers take are the direct driver of creating that stream of profits that builds enterprise value. So how you get those customers to act that way is to get them to believe in you. How do you get customers to believe in you? Not by making promises, but by creating an experience of brand harmony.
Welcome to the Thrive Podcast, where we dive deep into tech entrepreneurship and strategic growth. I'm your host, Bill Potter, founder of Thrive Advisors, and I'm here to guide tech-led founders through the maze of challenges on their journey to maximizing enterprise valuations. Whether it's scaling your team, navigating market shifts, or unlocking new revenue streams, we'll explore actionable strategies and insights to help you thrive in today's competitive landscape. Join me as we uncover the secrets to strategic growth and success in tech startups. Get ready for an electrifying episode as we welcome the one and only Steve Yastrow to the show. Steve isn't just a consultant, he's a trailblazer in customer experience, marketing, and sales strategy. With a talent for revolutionizing businesses and captivating global audiences, Steve's insights are like precious gold nuggets for anyone seeking to enhance customer relationships and drive growth. Join us as we dive into the mind of this visionary thinker, exploring his groundbreaking ideas, strategies, and secrets behind his phenomenal success. You won't want to miss this episode. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and empowered. Steve, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Bill. So glad to be here with you.
It's great to have you. So, Steve, in Ditch the Pitch, you advocate for a departure from traditional sales pitches in favor of persuasive conversations. Could you share some insights from your book and why this approach is so practical in today's business landscape?
Sure. I mean, the idea is this. One of the biggest mistakes we make in trying to communicate our company's stories to our customers is we think we can just tell them a lot of things and they're going to say, I get it. I want to buy from you. And it never works that way. It doesn't work when we just try to advertise. It doesn't work when we try to just pitch. The concepts behind my book, Ditch the Pitch, my third book, is the idea that if we can tear up our sales pitch, and instead of presenting information to our customer, create a conversation that really matters to that customer, what happens is the customer is more likely to be engaged in the conversation, give us their attention, hear what we have to say, and importantly, tell us what really matters to them. And when we learn what matters to them, we can improvise the right conversation to engage this customer at this moment.
That's terrific. Your book outlines 6 crucial habits for mastering persuasive conversations. Can you delve into these habits and highlight the practicality and how they contribute to building stronger customer relationships?
Sure, definitely. If you think about it, if you're going to tear up your script and you're going to improvise the right conversation for this customer at this moment, because of course every customer is different, you're not completely winging it. What you're doing is you're using some principles to guide this improvised conversation. And so the Ditch the Pitch habits that I teach are these principles that can guide you along the path to creating the conversation that's going to engage each customer. Here's some examples. The first habit's called think input before output. It's really simple. Make sure you're listening and observing before you start talking. Let's face it, most salespeople do the opposite. They go and they start presenting their information, waiting for feedback from the customer. We flip that around 180 degrees. As you're getting that input, you've got to do something we call size up the scene, okay? What does this really mean? What does my customer really care about? What's going on in their world? What kind of conversation do they want to have today? So these habits, think input before output and size up the scene, help us figure out what's really going on with our customer. Beyond that, we have habits with names like create a series of yeses and explore and heighten. These 2 habits are about creating a lot of conversational momentum. Let's face it, your customers by noon have received like 200 emails every day and they got 4,700 other things to do. They're not primed to pay attention to you. When you're talking with them, they have more reasons to ignore you than to pay attention to you, okay? How do we get their attention? We create what I call conversational momentum. We find out what they care about. We explore those things because when people talk about the things that are most interesting to them, you got their attention. Then we get into a few habits with names like focus the conversation on your customer. They don't care about you, they care about themselves. So don't talk about you, talk about them. We teach people how to not rush the story and move at your customer's pace. So those are some examples of the habits we teach that help people create conversations that really matter to their customers.
So I understand that the concept of improvisation is central to your approach in Ditch the Pitch. How can sales professionals actively incorporate improvisational techniques into their customer interactions?
Well, it's really interesting because a lot of people sometimes think, well, I need that script. I'm not comfortable with improvising. And every one of those people, if you watch them hanging out with their friends on the weekend, they're not using the script. If you watch them playing with their kids, they're not using the script. If you watch them driving and they encounter, road construction, they improvise a new way to get to their destination. We human beings are natural improvisers. One of the things that has really helped us thrive as a species is our ability to adapt and be flexible when new situations come up. We just have to take this natural human talent for improvisation and bring it into our business conversations. We do not need to be scripted. And let's face it, if you are scripted, your customer can tell immediately and it turns them off. They start to feel like, if you're scripted, you're not really thinking about me. Are you more interested in selling me something or helping me? So when we take this natural human talent for improvisation into conversations, we're much more successful. How do you do that? These 6 Ditch the Pitch habits really guide you. And so what we teach with each of the habits, there are 3 practices that go with each habit, because let's face it, in our lives, how do you create good habits?
Practice.
You practice, right? So each of the 6 Ditch the Pitch habits has a practice. Like, for example, I mentioned a habit called focus the conversation on your customer. How do you make it about them, not about you? Well, one of the practices we teach is called obey the 1 paragraph rule. Don't talk more than 1 paragraph at a time without leaving a break. Gives your customer a chance to come in. Also gives you a chance to make sure you're focused on them. When we get on a roll and talk too long, it's when we start making it about ourselves, as an example.
You had mentioned earlier about brand harmony. Can you take us down that path a little bit?
Sure. Brand Harmony is the name of my first book. Ditch the Pitch was the 3rd book. And Brand Harmony is really my overarching concept of how I believe we how we drive results. Brand harmony is a very simple concept. What it says is that the way people make decisions about your company isn't just about how good your product is. Sure, that counts. Isn't just how great your website is, or your social media posts, or your marketing literature. Yeah, all those things count. What really earns the love, the loyalty, the commitment, the beliefs of your customers is when every single contact they have with you blends with every other contact to tell one clear, compelling story. I mean, like I said a few minutes ago, your customers are busy. In America, in a typical day, an American is bombarded with about 5,000 marketing and sales messages, and this is the same in other countries too. Your customers have so many people trying to sell them things that if you just broadcast messages, or you have one message coming from your customer service department, another message coming from your advertising, another message coming from your product, you're lost in the customer's busy world. The way to cut through the clutter of their lives is to make sure all those interactions, all those customer touch points blend to tell one clear, compelling, easily understood, and motivating story. That's what brand harmony is all about.
So,
And I really believe
go
that
ahead.
brand harmony is really, go on,
No,
Bill,
please continue.
Yeah, I'll set up the next thing. I think that brand harmony is really one of the best ways for us to drive results. In your intro, Bill, you talked about how do we build the enterprise value of our companies.
Yes,
I believe brand harmony is one of your best profit levers that leads to that predictable stream of profits that builds your value. And we can talk about that if you like.
absolutely. Please tell me more.
So let's think about it. If we know that the value of your company is based on a lot of things, of course, but one is that growing and predictable stream of profits. There's lots of ways to increase your profits. Of course, you can cut costs. Of course, you can streamline operations. And if you can do those things, do it. What I see, my observational evidence working with hundreds and hundreds of companies over the years, is that for most of us, the best way to unleash that, what I call that latent profit, that untapped potential in our business to generate earnings, is driven by getting your customers to commit to you. When your customers really believe in you, and think what happens if a customer really believes in you, what will they do? They'll give you more business. They won't talk to the competition. They'll buy more products, more services from you. They'll pay a higher price. They'll pay you first. They'll tell other people in other companies how great you are. They'll tell other people in their company how great you are. When customers believe in you, they take actions that drive your results. If you think about it, the actions customers take are the direct driver of creating that stream of profits that builds enterprise value. So how you get those customers to act that way is to get them to believe in you. How do you get customers to believe in you? Not by making promises, but by creating an experience of brand harmony. I know this from in my company, we do a lot of research with our clients' customers in lots of different businesses, many tech businesses. And when we interview our clients' customers, there is no doubt that when the customer has a really clear idea of what that company can do for them, why they benefit, they're much more committed to that company. And every time we probe on what led you to have this powerful belief about this company, it wasn't just the promises they made, it was how the entire experience created this, I get it, I understand it, kind of an experience, set of beliefs in that customer's mind.
So,
I really believe brand harmony is one of our best profit levers.
so how can businesses ensure that their messages and interactions resonate on that deeper customer level, fostering loyalty and trust? I know that within my previous business message broadcast, we knew that we had achieved that when our clients stopped referring to us as their communication vendor, but as their partner. And so it's building that trust and loyalty through great service, resiliency, reliability. How do you recommend that they achieve that?
Well, it's a really interesting thing. So let's take what you just said and then we can work up to it. What you mentioned is people had these certain beliefs about the company that they felt they were your partner. So let's think about what it is we want our customers to believe about us. Now, of course, every company, a person who's listening to this podcast, their companies are different. One common thread, though, we have in the beliefs we're trying to create with our customers. Actually, I want to give you two common threads. Is number one, your customers really don't care about you. Sorry for that news. They care about themselves a whole lot more than they care about you. So you want their beliefs about you to not just be about you, but how they're better off working with you. I mentioned we do a lot of research with our clients' customers. When those customers are describing, I'm interviewing somebody, they're describing my client, the company we're interviewing them about, and they're describing not just what that company does, but how they're better off with that company. That translates to commitment, loyalty, and taking action. The other element you want in your customers' beliefs is that they believe they're in a partnership with you. The book I wrote after Brand Harmony, before Ditch the Pitch, is called We, the Ideal Customer Relationship. And the main essence of that book came from the research I do. When a customer's frame of reference is not that they think of you as those guys, but they think of you as we in a partnership, it's a world of difference. And so what you want to do is create a customer experience that leads to that feeling of we, not just us and them. So how do you create in your customers' minds these two kinds of beliefs? I'm better off working with you, and I feel we when I think about you, not like you're those other guys. That's what brand harmony helps you do, creating this overall integrated customer experience that helps the customer see that you are on their side and making it happen for them. Now, when we think about all those interactions that help a customer believe that, sure, it's things that like your product or your website, sure, all those things. At the same time, in most companies, the most influential customer touch points in creating powerful customer beliefs are the human interactions. So let's pick an example. Let's say you're a software development company. I know many of you aren't. Yeah, the software itself is part of the product, but those conversations with the developers, with the consultants, where they help to understand the customer's business, those are really important. Those interactions with your customer service people, your salespeople, the human interactions are the ones that are most palpable. And so I like to have companies really focus on making sure every employee is equipped to create conversations that matter with customers. It's a big part of creating brand harmony.
So many of our clients are looking to develop a go-to-market strategy, and and launch brand marketing. What you've described sounds so much as the sales portion, that critical sales connection, but also permeating the entire organization. But if you were advising a client that's just getting to prepare to either launch or relaunch, to reimagine their go-to-market strategy, can you take me through that process that you take your clients?
Sure. First thing you got to realize, as I mentioned before, that your customers' lives are really
Mm-hmm.
crowded. They got a lot of information bombarding them, and they also have a lot of other choices besides you. Even if you're better, even if you're different, it's hard to get your customers to understand that. We humans evolved to be able to make quick snap decisions. I mean, think about, let's go back 500,000 years on the African savannah, and an animal jumps out of the bushes. We had to develop a quick ability to say, is that a predator or a prey? Do I run away from it or run after it, right? So we are used to making quick snap decisions, which means when somebody sees your marketing communications, they're going to easily go, oh, I get that, and categorize you with everybody else in your marketing segment, in your market segment. So therefore, one of the first things you need to do before you go to market is decide what is that clear, compelling message that's going to get people to go, I want to hear more. A brand story is actually very deep and very involved. By the time a customer actually buys from anybody listening to this podcast, they've created a very complete set of beliefs in their minds. However, we got to be very intentional and strategic about what we want the first part of that belief to be, so the customer wants to hear more. And the mistakes that companies make a lot is they either talk about generic features their product does, or they talk about it from their point of view. Like I said before, customers buy from you not because of who you are or what you do, but because of why they're better off working with you. Because they don't care about you, they care about themselves. So one of the first things you need to do is to create a really strong, clear essence of your message that's going to get somebody's attention and go, oh, that would be good for me. I want to learn more. That's how you cut through the 5,000 messages a day and get them to not just lump you with the competitors. Then the question becomes, how do you communicate that message to people? This is really challenging these days because the world is so busy. You got to realize that, let's think about it. If your customers were bombarded with 5,000 marketing messages yesterday, how many of those did they ignore? How many did you ignore? 4,998? We got to realize that most marketing messages are ignored. And so the trick is to figure out ways to cut through the clutter. So much money is wasted on trying to get messages out to customers. Some of the ways to deal with that are, don't spread yourselves too thin. Don't think about the broadest market segment I can go after. Think about being the narrowest market segment I can get after, so I can get more deep and get more frequency of messages to people. Big mistake people make is spreading yourself too wide when you want to go deeper. Another thing is to realize that anything you can find that involves a human connection, if you can meet somebody, for example, if you can do trade show marketing, if you can use distribution channels, if you can use referral sources, that human interaction is always going to, you can have 1,000 exposures on LinkedIn versus one human interaction. In most cases, that one human interaction is going to give you more return.
Very good. As president of your company, you've had the opportunity to work with a wide range of organizations. Can you share success story or case study illustrating the transformative power of adopting the principles you've written in all your books?
Oh, sure. Let's so many to pick from. Let's pick one that'd be kind of a little fun to think about. I was working with a really interesting, fun destination resort and spa in Mexico called Rancho La Puerta. Great place. They'd been around for 70 years by the time I started working with them, but it was a time of little financial trouble in the U.S. and some other issues that business was down. So we came in there and we looked at how are we going to get their business to be back up again. They had a great customer experience. What we found was that 2/3 of the people who came there for the first time loved it, didn't come back. We found that we had a lot of people calling into reservations, but it's rightfully an expensive place. How can we close more of those sales? We looked at the entire customer experience from the time people first learned about them. We created a wheel, going through the reservations process, showing up at the resort, staying there, and then after they came back, looking at that entire experience, we were able to map out ways to improve the guest experience along the whole way. So, for example, with the reservations team, we did a lot of work on how to really understand. We use the ditch the pitch principles. What is this kind of vacation is this person really looking for? Then we actually had a lot of the reservationists go stay in the resort more with their families. They could understand what it was like, so they could give a more credible description of what was happening there, really improving that whole reservations process. Then from the time people showed up, it's a Saturday to Saturday stay. From the time they showed up till the time they went back, we tried to really think about how do we orchestrate that stay to create a more compelling story. As I mentioned, a lot of the first timers were not coming back the second time. We created a whole experience that week for first timers that were able to engage them more, find out what they liked, so we could remarket to them coming back. We built a referral program. So when those people referred their friends or brought them back with them, they'd be able to give their friends something. We went through the entire customer experience looking for ways to tweak it, make the experience more cohesive, and it really did a lot to improve their occupancy of their hotel, the rates they were getting, et cetera. That's just one example. I've had this work in lots of professional services firms, tech firms, distribution companies, because in all cases, no matter what kind of business you're in, what kind of customers you've got, the same thing holds true. They are judging you not by the promises you make, but by the way the entire experience comes together to tell one clear, compelling story.
Ultimately, they're all based on that human value interaction that they're getting. So it's interesting that a resort in Mexico is the same principles apply to a tech company.
Yeah, I use it for tech companies. I use this for not-for-profits, for anybody, because the common thread we all have is that our customers are human beings, right? And human beings make decisions
and what's important
across all aspects of their life in some similar ways. We take lots of pieces of information, we piece together a story in our mind. And even if we have incomplete pieces of information, we extrapolate to the whole story. So what you want to do is ensure that your customer has enough pieces of the story to come together to form a complete picture in their mind that motivates you, that motivates them, to do business with you.
It's very valuable insights. Steve, if our audience wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So our website is yastrow.com, YASTROW.com. And there's a connect@yastrow.com button there. Please do that. Please get in touch with me. I'd love to talk to anybody who wants to talk. And there's information on my books there and other things that can help guide people.
Well, I think that's very valuable. Well, I appreciate your time today. And thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Thrive Podcast. I hope our discussion with Steve was insightful, practical, and applicable to your entrepreneurial journey. If you found value in today's conversation, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode with your fellow entrepreneurs. Your support enables us to continue bringing valuable content to the community. Until next time, keep thriving. Thank you, Steve.
Hey, thank you, Bill.